And of course now being somewhat safer from that MP45, but the Puma does fire away with its larger gun. Not entirely the happiest situation though. Piat rounds flying after, but not much luck. And we see a second Puma. In fact, he's not retaining the auto cannon upgrade or gun, but generally going for the larger gun upgrade. That's a bit interesting, in fact. Very rare you see that nowadays. Normally you see some, well, usually just, well, the regular gun and then just slaughtering infantry as if it was Christmas. Well, that didn't come out right. You don't usually slaughter infantry on Christmas, as far as I'm aware, but you get the idea, I hope. Mortar rounds flying in. Puma in the distance. Captain bravely fires his Webley revolver, but not really having much luck with it. And there we go. Piat rounds doing quite a bit of damage to the Puma. Will the Puma be getting out of there? Yes, indeed. There we go. A bit of luck for the Puma commander. At the same time, we do have the Cromwell tank coming out from the armored command truck. Question is, how shall it fare against these Pumas, of course. And there we go, finally getting an upgrade. Most likely, yes indeed, for the armored car. And something else coming out, that's Sturm Armory. Let's be a bit cheeky and have a look. Another Puma, what an absolute surprise. And looks like he's gone for Terror. Yes indeed, our friend here is the Terror commander. Hoping for a bit of psychological warfare, devastating artillery and King Tigers perhaps to aid his cause against the Irish Guards, who are so far having a nice job finally getting their armor on the field. Although I do believe they did use Shermans, but that's...
We are losing ground.
sort of one of the things we shan't talk about, eh? And we see the Pumas continuing to move about, not getting the upgrade for this one perhaps. Might be opting for this one to actually just blast away at infantry. Could be, could be. Now we have the Cromwell on the field, opening fire with its 75mm gun, and this Puma is forced into retreat. Will the other Puma do something, or will... no, it will be apparently be getting away since it is heavily damaged from those Piat rounds from those cheeky sappers, and two gunners are knocked out from this one in the building. Grenadiers once more moving in from the assault sappers with mine clearers as well, getting into the building. Cromwell moving in to support. Grenadiers taking a bit damage and forced into retreat, still not getting any sort of actual infantry, just relying on those Grenadiers and some pioneers with flamethrowers. And we have a Nebelwerfer 150mm variant, which I do believe was one of the earlier. As they progressed, they did get larger rockets. And looks like this MG42, yes, is cleared out by the Cromwell. Nice shot there, Nathan. And we have a Cromwell command tank joining in for the fun with its little dummy gun there, as the British didn't want their command tanks to be busy with actually fighting but just supporting. Not everyone followed into that, and I do believe the Germans later on just said sort that, and actually also had them fight away with guns blazing. And we see the pioneers here having a bit of luck, but I do believe that luck may come to end as the Cromwell lurches over the ridge. Catches the pioneers inside, and there we go. One is down. Will the other get out there? Yes, it looks like indeed. Baser machine guns firing away, and pioneers are swiftly carried away on their feet. And we do see the Stug 4 on the way. So, a bit of luck for him. Perhaps if he can use that Stug on the way again. We shall have to see how that will go. And we see some Bren gun being equipped for some of those infantry chaps. Bren gun being, well, the amalgamated name of some Czechoslovakian name, and then Enfield. I can't remember the other name. It's, again, I'm not exactly good at Czechoslovakian. Of course, there's not even a Czechoslovakia now. It's the Czech Republic and Slovakia, so I'm not even sure what language that would be. Well, there you go. The British did have a few weapons that sort of followed into that sort of line of thought. Cromwell on this field, and there we go. Stug versus Cromwell. Stug certainly leading the charge and forcing those Cromwells away as they can't really have much luck against those Stooks. Although, funny thing is, in real life, the Cromwell actually had an advantage over the Sherman tank. And since the Stook actually had to get closer due to the Cromwell having thicker armor than the Sherman, there's a certain thing about armor slope only being effective to a certain point. And Stook getting ambushed from all sides. Piat rounds flying in. Grenadiers trying their best to save it. Cromwell might try to flank about. And even further heavy damage. Piat sappers getting out of there. Mine clearer ones moving in to do a bit of repairs. Grenadier team is slaughtered. Brent gunners firing away. Cromwell taking quite a bit of damage. But that Stook might be on its last legs, getting flanked around. Although the Cromwell isn't looking too sharp either. Who shall win this mortal duel? Not having much luck in penetrating the armor, and looks like this Cromwell is on its last leg. There we go. Knocked out by the Puma. And rather forcing a full rout here in the western sector. In the meanwhile, the Germans does seem to have secured the eastern, but we have a reconnaissance section once more bravely preparing for a small raid. Last Grenadier team getting the devil out of there, and still he has very little infantry to actually carry the fight for him. I'm not entirely sure that's a good idea. Plenty of Pumas, of course, but if I say get something like, oh, I don't know, a Firefly, those Pumas, and of course the Stook might come to very, very, very short. And securing the eastern point. Nebelwerfer rounds hammering down and not having much luck in hitting anything at all. In fact, he was apparently just hoping for me to have established some defensive lines, and I had the absolute nerve of not having anything there, and I do apologize, Mr. Harkonnen. Yes, you are, Mr. Stook. You are the might of the Axis war machine. Too bad you're up against me. And what is that? Yes, indeed, the Sherman Firefly, armed with the ever ubiquitous 17-pounder gun. Very high capability in the penetration field. Certainly a lot that actually had to fear it. So Vickers machine gun emplacement going down as well to sort of secure this area. Again, emplacements can be nice, it's just a question of where, how, and of course not going completely overboard. Casualty clearing station up as well, not entirely sure what to expect. Puma moving in, setting off after the captain. Will the captain get out of there? And looks like he... No! Puma's shot knocks him out just as he was about to get out of there. Absolutely tragic. And I'm sure the Puma commander is absolutely proud of himself. And looks like we have another Stook on the field. And looks like this small curious force is moving about, getting ready to hit somewhere. Where though is the question, and I have myself gone for the Royal Scots Engineers. And there we go, the Stook is slowly crawling forwards, breaking through the stone wall. Looks like this reconnaissance section is in a bit of spot of trouble. And there we go, guns blazing. Reconnaissance section will have to get out of there, or what will they do? No, they will instead hide in this small building and hope for armored assistance as the Sherman Firefly bravely trundles through the streets. Will it get there in time, or will the reconnaissance section have to get out of there? Looks like it will have to get out of there. In fact, only one poor fellow left, and he's retreating right through German lines. But apparently survives everything. Puma Fire, MP45, Stook, and everything else. And Firefly on the field. Looks like this Puma is to be no more. Piat rounds blowing it apart, rendering these chaps behind enemy lines a bit as the Firefly moves slowly forward, hoping to spot anything it can knock out with its very powerful 17-pounder. And the Puma is in the line of fire. In the same time, we do see a second force moving out from the west. Not a bad idea, trying to strike out from several points if your opponent is really reliant on having to keep his forces together. This can certainly be a good move to sort of keep him off his balance, constantly running to and fro. And Cromwell moving in from the south. Rather sneaky move, hitting from all points. Stook with veterancy 1, meaning it does take less damage, but against the Firefly it might mean nothing. And now Cromwell moves in from the south. Stuke is taking quite a bit of fire, and it's not from all sides now. MG42 team cleared out. Grenadiers in a lot of trouble. And Stuke is blown apart. Firefly though is very bad looking and will need repairs. Veterancy 2 for this lieutenant, most courageous fellow. And this Firefly will of course need to get some repairs, but the Germans are continuing towards the west instead. Mortar rounds flying amongst these pioneers, hoping to knock them out, and of course their flamethrower, so as not to harm any British troops. And more Churchills are being readied for reserves, but so far none are pulled in until now, of course, just as I said. Churchill Mark IV, ready to soak up some damage and just be a nuisance to any of the Germans, since they won't actually have anything really capable of penetrating its frontal armor. Fun bit. And we also see some explosive charges being set up here. I do believe I just did it just for the sake of it. German Firefly not looking good though, but Cromwell leading to charge, acting as a spotter, and of course that Churchill will of course also be able to soak up a lot of damage. We shall have to see how this goes. Churchill on the front. Oh dear, Stuke had revealed its rear armor. Not good at all. Cromwell taking a few shots from the rear, and it is in the sights of the Firefly, which despite being heavily damaged can fire away from a distance. And there we go, heavy losses, pioneers being killed, and the Stuke itself going to probably be blown apart. And there we go, the Stuke is lost. Now only the Puma is left. And what of the Nebelwerfer? Apparently a second one is joined in to form a small battery. And the Puma takes further fire. Oh dear, Sappers on the spot to repair though, so that's good for the Firefly, but not good for the Puma, which is certainly not affected by it. So a very nice position for the British at the moment, and in the distance we can spot the base of the 184th, while the Irish Guards are having a bit of tea and of course repairing their vehicles, readying for the next assault. And this is a rather fun pose for the Cromwell command tank, looking rather actiony but of course completely still, and the commander sticking his head out, apparently trying not to get greasy. Nebelwerfer was pulling back towards the base, apparently expecting some sort of assault here. Not a bad idea not to of course have your support weapons right out in the middle of everything where the enemy might be striking. So certainly got the right idea. Only trouble is it doesn't really have any infantry to support, and my goodness, a third Nebelwerfer. Is it quite alright? Packs now getting summoned out in larger numbers, and now a huge Nebelwerfer barrage is flying in. What will happen? What will happen? Looking very nice though. And flying in right here. Oh dear, oh dear. One has to admire the spectacle all of this, of